Good morning, I'm Ali Mortimer at Heal Yourself Happy and welcome to my kitchen. At the moment, our hot topic is joy. So all the food that I'm cooking in the kitchen is going to contribute to a sense of happiness and joy. And that's because I'm going to be using ingredients that contain tryptophan. Now, one of the biggest contributors to tryptophan is actually beef. So today we are going to make some homemade burgers with a couple of toppings. Now, I know beef and red meat often gets a really bad press. There's been a lot about that in the news just recently about it having high links to contributing to various sorts of cancers. However, I am a huge believer in bio-individuality and understanding what works for you and your body. And I know in our family, we can eat meat. We just don't eat an awful lot of it. And we only use the amount that's the size of the palm of your hand, the size and the thickness of the palm of your hand, and we don't eat it at every meal. So maybe stick to having red meat once a week. It's not about denial, it's just about using it sensibly. Also, we'll talk about the quality of the meat that you eat. So if you can use as best quality as you can possibly get. So here I've got organic and grass-fed beef that I've got from, I think I might have got this from Ocado or the butcher, I can't remember, one of the two. So we're going to start off by making these incredibly quick, incredibly delicious homemade burgers that all my family love. So all you need for this is 800 grams of organic, preferably grass-fed beef or mince. Pop it into a big bowl, like that. See, really simple. And then take some whole grain mustard. Here we go. And then use about a dessert spoon or 2 to 3 tablespoons of whole grain mustard. Put that in there. Bit of black pepper. I've got Himalayan pink salt in here, and that's because it's really good for hydration. So a bit of salt in there. And then that is pretty much it. You're going to get your hands dirty, you're going to get your hands in here, we're going to mix it all and combine it all, and then I'm going to make it into 4 burgers. So get your hands in. So you can do loads of great things with burgers, and there's loads of recipes you can put. One of my favourites is you put little gherkins in, you can put spring onions in. Lots of people bind it with egg or breadcrumbs, but I think if you just have a really good meat, you don't need it at all. But my boys don't like any fuss, so that's what we're going to do. So that's all in there, nicely combined. And then just take a good handful, like that. So just get it in your hand, a bit like that. Pack it nice and close, and then pack it into a nice kind of patty. So as I said, meat should always be about the size and thickness of the palm of your hand. So Tom's hand's pretty much the same size as mine, so he can have a burger a similar size to mine. Can you believe that? He's nearly 12, he's got the same size hands as me. James is obviously considerably bigger. Willie's slightly smaller, but he probably eats just as much as James. So another patty, slightly smaller one for Willie, although he won't be impressed with that. And then we've got a big man-sized one here left for James, who is, well, that is actually enormous, isn't it? But his hands are a lot bigger than mine. So get that all nicely packed in, punched in, slightly press it down. And there you have it. How quick was that? 4 homemade burgers in less than 3 minutes. These are then going to go in the fridge until everyone's home, and then I'll pop them on the barbecue and cook them for probably about 10 minutes each side. Next, we're going to make some dips that I like to serve with them, but I'm just going to wash my hands. Right, so my hands are nicely washed. I've got my burgers all nicely cling filmed. They're going to go in the fridge. So next, I thought I'd share with you a couple of toppings or some relishes that you can use with these yummy burgers. So first off, we're going to make a tomato relish. In my NutriBullet, I've got about 200 grams of tomatoes. So these, I'm using little cherry tomatoes. You can use whatever tomatoes you like. Just make sure they're nicely washed. Pop those in your NutriBullet. We're also going to add in some parsley. You might like coriander. My husband doesn't like coriander at all, so I always substitute with parsley. So put a nice good handful of whatever herb you want in the NutriBullet as well. You can use half a red onion, just peel that, take the ends off, just maybe chop it up into a little bit like that. What also would be nice in here is a little bit of garlic, but I'm not going to use any garlic tonight. We had a lot of garlic yesterday. You could probably put in like one garlic clove. You could put that in there. I'm going to use some whole cumin. Cumin is just such a lovely seasoning. So I'm going to use about half a teaspoon, sorry, of cumin seeds in there. Just give it a little bit of a grind in my pestle and mortar. It's really heavy, this one. And then tip that in there as well. Then I'm going to take some balsamic vinegar. We need about 2 tablespoons of that. 2 tablespoons of that in there. And then I'm also going to put a glug of olive oil in, just to make sure that everything goes round in the NutriBullet. Bit of salt and pepper. And then we'll blend that up in the NutriBullet. I'm just going to pause the video while we do that because it's really rather noisy. Right, so I'm back. So I've just pulsed that in my NutriBullet. There we go. Can you see? It's really quite yummy, quite tart. But that will go beautifully with that beef. So again, I'm doing this in the morning. So I'm just going to pop a lid on that, and then that can go in the fridge along with my burgers. Right, so the next thing I'm going to make is some guacamole. Now, avocados are a really good fat. We've talked about that before. Good fats in your body, I like to think, mean that your body doesn't need to retain the other unnecessary fats. There are all sorts of good and bad fats, and avocados are the source of good ones, a bit like fish and nuts. So again, excuse me, I've got a tickle. So in a NutriBullet, we're going to put 2 avocados, destoned. Put those in there. I'm always really careful when I destone avocados, because I always remember my mum once getting a big knife, and when she was trying to get the stone out, rather than hitting the stone with the big knife, she hit her hand and did a little bit of damage to her fingers, needless to say. Right, so 2 nice ripe avocados in the NutriBullet. Right, next in here, now depending on how lazy or energetic you're feeling, you can either use some chilli and chop up a bit of chilli in there, or I'm in a little bit of a hurry, so I'm just going to use some dried chilli flakes, and I'm going to use about half a teaspoon. Just pop those in there. Now that means it's going to be quite spicy, so if you don't like spice as much, then use a little bit less. I'm going to squeeze some lime in here. I love my lime juicer. Do you have one of these? So you get your lime juicer, place your lime in there, and squeeze that out. This will not only stop the avocado going brown, but it just gives it a lovely texture and taste. So the juice of 1 lime in there. I'm a messy cook, by the way, but I do leave everything tidy afterwards. Right, so that's that. And then we're also going to put some parsley in this one. Again, if you wish, you can use coriander, you can use some basil if you like. I'm just going to use a little bit of parsley because it's what I've got in the fridge. So pop that in there. I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil again, just to make sure it goes round in the NutriBullet. Salt, Himalayan pink salt again. a little bit of black pepper, and then this is going to go on my NutriBullet. So I'm going to pause the video again, just so it makes a noise. Right, so that's all whizzed up. Got a really nice guacamole in there. And what's sometimes quite nice, if you've got some, take a spring onion. I didn't want to blitz this. I quite like this as a little bit of a crunch in the actual guacamole itself. So finely slice 1 or 2 spring onions and just put those in the top. So get rid of all the outer leaves and the green bits. These are quite nice and fresh, there's quite a lot of it. So pop those in the guacamole and then just stir that through. So you've got quite a nice chunky guacamole there to pop on your burger, along with the nice tomato relish. There we go. So once again, that is ready for supper tonight. So just put a lid on that, and that can also go in the fridge this evening. Now to serve with it. So most people think of burgers in a bun, but you can actually have naked burgers and they're just as delicious. Now, many people struggle and suffer with gluten intolerances that you get from a bun. So if you really do want a bun, then try something like a sourdough roll, because that's much fresher and better for your tummy. Or you can go for a portobello mushroom burger, which is really lovely, and it looks a lot like the bun. So get 2, I don't have any with me, but 2 portobello mushrooms, so they're the ones about this size. Put them on a baking tray and put them in the oven at about 180 degrees for about 10 minutes. Put those on your plate, upside down, and pop the burger on the top, and it looks just like you've got a bun. They're really, really delicious, especially if you like mushrooms, and mushrooms are really, really good for you. What other alternatives can you do for healthy sides? So everybody loves fries with their burgers. Why not do some sweet potato fries? And that's really easy. Just take a sweet potato, peel it, chop it up into nice sticks, put them on a baking tray with some parchment paper and some olive oil, or you can put coconut oil on, salt and pepper, and bake those in a really hot oven, about 200 degrees, for about half an hour. Make sure you flip them halfway through. Those are delicious to go along with your burgers. What else did I think? Onion relish. If you love a bit of onion relish, then take 2 to 3 red onions and slice them really, really finely. Put them in a hot pan with a little bit of either olive oil or coconut oil, and fry them until they're really soft. And just as they get towards the end, add maybe a glug of balsamic vinegar, and then leave that to reduce on a medium heat until it's gone, and they come really, really nice and sweet. You can add those to your burgers. So we've got fries, we've got a bun, we've got all the different relishes. What else did I put myself down for? Oh, cheese. Who loves a cheeseburger? So if you like cheese, why not add a little bit of feta? So instead of using the high fatty cheddar cheese, or what else is the other one? I can't even think. It's like an orange cheese, but use feta, which is a really, really nice cheese. You can crumble that on. That's delicious and would go so nicely with a tomato relish. Or the favourite in our house, which I will be doing for our burgers tonight, is to slice some halloumi. So if you slice that at about 5 millimeters thick, and then put in a hot pan with just a little bit of oil, not too much at all, and then just shallow fry them. They take about 1 to 2 minutes to turn brown, and then flip them over. You want to do this right at the very last minute, because you want to eat that hot, because then it's nice and gooey before it gets cold and squeaky. When it's still nice, but just not as nice. So use either halloumi or feta if you want to have a bit of a cheeseburger. So there's always a healthy option, and I just wanted you to see how quickly you can make burgers. So it's Fast Food Friday. You can do all of that in less time than it takes you to order your takeaway. So I'd love to see some photographs and some videos of you making or eating your delicious healthy burgers, and hopefully it's going to be a really gorgeous sunny weekend, because it's bank holiday weekend coming up. And I hear that there is a Spanish plume coming, which means we've got 26-degree heat this weekend. So perfect opportunity for you to try out these deliciously healthy barbecue burgers. And as I said, please do share and let me know how much you enjoy them. Have a really wonderful day, have a wonderful weekend, and see you all soon.